today. Welcome to a wonderful day. So we're going to talk about another alternative solution to Tableau. Went with Power BI by Microsoft. I thought it was, everybody here probably was born with Excel. Most of us, you did everything with Excel. So this is one of Microsoft's ways of competing with all the other people out there that has some type of business intelligence tool. Can anyone tell me what the #1 business intelligence tool is in the world today?
Excel.
Excel, absolutely. So it's funny that everyone goes and spends all this millions of dollars building these products and whatever, and people and companies go out and spend millions of dollars at adopting these products and bringing people up to speed and doing this and that and whatever the case is. At the end of the day, I find it so amusing when people just throw it out in Excel and they do what they're used to. They're accustomed to it. So do what works. Creating pivot tables and doing this and that. Microsoft originally, they had all these different they had these 4 tools that they used for all of their analysis. So first one was SQL Server, which is their primary database platform. They used something called SAS, which was SQL Server Analytical Services, and it was more useful, maybe predicting who's going to win the Masters. It was their way of doing predictive data. The third thing that they used was SSRS, which is called SQL Server Reporting Services. So you would build these reports by using either taking the data from SAS or using their front-end tool, well, I'll say their desktop tool, creating these reports, and you push them up to your own server that you're using, or wherever you're publishing the reports at. And that was their intelligence tool that they used. And they said, this is why you need anything else. They didn't really have nothing like this, really. That was the closest that you could get to it. You could do some graphs and stuff like that within SSRS. I said 4, I think that's 3. The other one was SSIS. It was a SQL Server integration service, and it was a way to build these pipelines to go and get data from, whether it was SQL Server, whether it was Excel, or whether it was from API, whatever the case was. It was a way to build a platform to go and get this data, bring it in, massage it, do whatever you have to do with it, and then push it out to an environment where SAS would do its predictions and whatever. And then ultimately what you would do is you push it up using report services, and then you would publish the report, and sometimes you had some fancy things or whatever the case was. That was their way of doing things. They also built some plugins into Excel to do like the graphing and stuff like that, and I think that's still available. I think you can incorporate Power BI directly into Excel as a plugin as well. But then they came out with this, and this was like more or less comparison to like when I was working at PNC Bank. I did some work in OBIEE at the time. I'm not even sure if it's even utilized. It was Oracle Business Intelligence tool. It was, to be honest with you, I didn't like it. The company had invested a lot of money into the product, and it was like a big talk that it was going to be like the best, blah blah blah. But honestly, it was funky. It didn't work as well as that we expected it to be. At the end of the day, I ended up developing my own source code to do what I wanted to do versus utilizing a tool, because it had a lot of limitations on what it was able to do. Like, for example, doing a query on certain reports that you would be able, you'd think that you could do filtering and stuff like that, and it just didn't have the capability of doing something like that. So yeah, they were out running for a while, and I'm not sure even. And another thing I didn't like about OBIE, it wanted you to use Oracle because it's this backend database. So when you use anything but, especially Excel, SQL Server, it gave a lot of problems. I had challenging issues where half the time it didn't work. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So that was a challenge. So it was almost like they did that on purpose. But what's nice about this is Power BI has a million different sources that you could get your data from. So when we start playing around with it, you'll see that you could get your data from Oracle and like so many other ways. There's places I never heard of in here, which is cool. It was kind of like Tableau too. Tableau has a lot of areas that you could get your source data from as well. Any questions at this point? All right. So this right here, what I'm looking at is the, it's more or less the web version. I think you can create some stuff in here, but it actually does everything for you. So we'll kind of walk through it and make something up and see what it does for us. But kind of going through, you have your favorites, recent information. This right here is, you can say your splash screen, which has some Power BI stories out there. So you can click on it and you can download some stuff as well. You could download like templates to get started, which is pretty cool. So you can download some stuff and play around with it. Say that again?
Splash screen?
Yeah, it's an entry screen. I just call it a splash screen.
Splash screen.
Yeah, old days of being a developer. These down here are templates. So you can choose a template and get started. And it tells you how long it takes to download. And then any recent work that you did will be out here. So like I've already published one of the retail reports I was messing around with earlier. I downloaded something for GitHub. So you can set up your own workspace to share your files in. This also could also go into your OneDrive as well. So you can publish it there as well. And then they have apps on here you can download. So these are like plugins that could do probably other things within your environment. It just comes like with anything else. Anything that you have, there's always a plugin that could do something extra, flashy, whatever the case is. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of the snippet of it. You could do a new report here. We'll talk about that in a second here. So you have two options. You could go in here, and if you like to copy and paste, you can easily copy and paste your files in here. That's one way. You could pick a published data set, so something that you publish directly from Power BI desktop. You could select that and choose that information as well. You have data sets. So these are your data sets. Basically, that's the data that you have. Doesn't really, I don't think, so it doesn't allow you to create, it doesn't allow you to, from this level, it doesn't allow you to connect to a data set that's like, let's say outside of here, something else. It doesn't do a good job of doing that information, if you ask me. So it's not the best. The best is being able to take something that you've already pushed up here some way. You could have share with me, so if something was shared with you. Deployment pipelines, we're not going to do that, but this is if you're creating some type of pipeline to Azure or Amazon Web Services or something like that. Or even if you could name your pipeline and go through, and it could be another way of connecting the data outside of here itself. Discover, just kind of what I said, you could download some of these and play around with them. So you could probably make your own, whatever, COVID report or school report or whatever. So there's stuff out there. I haven't played around with that. And then there's some learning tools out here as well. So you could do some webinars that you teach yourself some information. There's a lot of cool stuff out on YouTube as well. Because I had to do refreshers on this because it's been a while since I played around with this. I thought it was like a couple years ago, but it's been like 4 years, it seems like. So what I'm actually going to do real quick is I'm going to go out to Schoology and download that thing and paste it in here. So let's go. I'm going to download that MBA one I just put up there today. All right, that's not what I want to do. So receive this. I'm going to grab this, download, maybe. Just make sure we got everything there. Oh my God, did I get the wrong? You know what? I had the wrong one. Well, you know what? We could use that one, but that's not the one I wanted. I have one with rookie information. I like data on it. That's not what I want. Give me a second. I think it's still in my drive. I have one with rookie data. It has like points and temps and all that stuff. It's a lot better than I had it. Rookie data. Yep, I did download it. Maybe I did. I just didn't. I guess I did upload it. I didn't realize it. All right, so this is the other one, the NBA rookies by year. That's the one I wanted to use. I went and massaged some of the data earlier because it was a little messed up. But what's cool about this data is it has a lot of stats from, I think, I don't know, 16 years of data. So, and these are based off of rookies in the NBA. So it has like games played, minutes they played, points, field goal attempts made, percentage, etc. So I'm gonna use that data and see if we could. I'm going to keep it open. I need to copy it. So this is the downside of those who are using like the Mac and don't have the emulator. So what I need to do here is just click on this up here, and what it'll do is it'll maybe copy all the rows. Since I'm doing the online part, before I get to show you how to use the desktop version. So I'll come right here, and I'll choose create, and I'll choose paste manually. So this right to me is not the right way of doing things. This to me is very inconvenient, but it'll work. So if I click on that and just do paste, it's going to tell me Control V. I forgot about that. So you have to do Control V. Like I said, this is not the recommended solution because you'll see why. Because the columns, you have to go in and manually modify the column names. That's also a pain in my butt, but that's fine. I'm gonna.
Which one are we using again? I'm sorry.
We're using the Masters one. No, we're using the rookie player or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think we downloaded Masters?
That's it.
Yeah, I can type fast. All right, so I'm gonna delete that one row there, and we'll call this NBA rookies. Sorry, I'll tell you in a second here. So what I did is when you paste it in there, it doesn't paste the header. So line 1 has the header. So then what I did is I typed in the header up here. I just clicked on here, and then I just edited it. I went across and did that with all of them. And then I changed the name of the table. I'm just going to click create. I guess that's, oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I just realized what I could have did. So let me show you what I could have did.
I'm still lost.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's do it again. I'm going to save it for now. Let's say that I wanted to create that again. And I did this, so what I did is, I'll show you what I could have did. I'm an idiot. So if you do this right here in Excel, just copy this. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. So then you come out to PowerBI here, and where it says enter data, I just click in this one row right here. I hit Control V on the keyboard, and it copies all the data in there. You got that? Well, what I did here is I went in and put all the names up here like a dummy, and I just seen this. It says use first row as headers. So I could have did that probably. Oh, you dumb a-hole. Sorry, I'm just calling myself an a-hole. So I went back to, anyways, you can use first rows headers. I just messed it up. Again.
Did you leave name as the first column?
Well, no, I had it right the first time. So all you do is click on this where it says use first row as header. And then that right there, you don't want to click on it again. And then all your data is the first row. You don't have to go and type all that stuff I typed. And then you would just name it whatever you want to call it, just say NBA players. And I'll click create. So this looks a little similar to what you see in the desktop, but this does a lot of the legwork for you. You do over here, these are called fields in the BI tool, but for the most part, it does all the legwork for you and throws something out there. So you see that we have free throw percentages, field goal percentages, and it does it all for you. On this way, you could change it up if you wanted to do something else. Let's move this over a little bit. Let's say you wanted to add maybe defense rebounds. You could throw that in there as well. So what's different here is from this version, it does it for you. You have limitations on what you can and can't do. So you can't go in and change all your different, if you want to use some type of different graph or whatever, you have limitations on that versus this. I mean, if that's what you're trying to achieve, that's fine. It doesn't look too bad, just to kind of, so you could go around here and say, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to maybe focus on games played, maybe free throw percentage, maybe made and attempted, and it shows this information. Maybe you want to also do it based on name. So you see it gets a little hairy. You can't really look at the report well unless you come down here and say, okay, AC Green, play for the Lakers. Once you click on it, which is kind of nice. So it pulls up his free throw percentage when he was a rookie in 1985 and 61% free throw rating. I bet if we had Shaquille O'Neal, his is probably at 0%. Those that follow the NBA, Shaq was not a free throw player, but actually should have his information on here. Now see, this would be cool that if you could filter on Shaq. So you could filter on players by name. So what I could do is here, I could type in, go into name, and I could do a basic filtering, and I could look up, see if it even comes up. Shaquille. Yeah.
Why does it have any filters to display?
So what I had to do is I had to click on filters at the top up here. And then you'll see all these different options. You have to choose an option. So I chose name and I did basic filtering. And I just typed in Shaquille and brought his name up.
You have to do that again? Would you click on to get those?
Sure. So what I did is I click on the filters here. So I click on this filter area. And what it does is it gives you all the fields that you have over here. It gives you filter options over here. So what I did is I wanted to find name. So I just come up here and type in name.
Mine says that there's not any filters to display.
It says no filters to display. What's your data look like? How about people at home, if whoever's doing it, did it show filters to display?
They look the same.
Have you click on something? Oh, you do it. I don't know. That's weird.
There's common rows. Is there common rows?
Why mine is different? Yours for the same thing. What did you try it?
Oh, I was messing around with the downloaded version. And because of the link. It was interesting.
Anyone at home have the same problem?
But I mean, that's
What is the problem again?
They're getting no filters to display.
Yeah, it's for me at the beginning it did the same, but then as when I click the like a player on the bottom, then all the filters appear.
You click on something on the bottom.
Yeah, so if like you know at the beginning you were looking for the players by scrolling down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just click a player there, and then all my filters show up.
Okay. Did you hear that? So it worked. Okay. So that's all it was. His name. Yep, you're right. I didn't realize I chose name and it pulled everything up.
Then if you click off, they disappear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that one. So you have those options. You could do the filtering. Like I said, it's very limited what you can do at this level, but it does pull up some data. You can analyze in Excel, like I said, everybody does that. You can save it as a file, download it as that file. So we probably could download it and pull it up in the regular BI tool as well. But we'll see if we can. We'll try it. We'll download it from here. Maybe.
It doesn't give me it won't let me click on it.
It won't let you click on the download? Yeah, it's grayed out. You're right. So I'm going to save as a report. Let's see, is it at this level? Let's see if I can export it. Yeah, see, because this is like the last level of stuff when it's up here. So when you create it at the other level, it'll save it. So you could download apps here as well, but I don't know what the heck any of that is. So like once again, this layer is very limited of what it can do. But when I'm up here, I'm gonna create a workspace. So when we do publish something from other ways, so I'm gonna create a workspace, and I will call it module 11 or module 12. I don't know what module this is. Got it. And just save it. So that way, when you create a workspace, you could publish all your content to that workspace.
So we don't need to create that?
You don't have to. I just did it for the heck of it.
How do we connect to it?
You'll connect to it when you're on the desktop. Any questions around this space? So now, if we wanted to go in our data sets, we'd have different sets of data. So we can pull up our data, whatever workspace it's in. It'll just pull it up in here, unfortunately. So it doesn't provide exactly what we need, but for here, it's good. So I'm going to go down to the desktop version now. Sure. All right. So the desktop version is a little bit different. So you have a lot more capabilities of doing different features. I'm just going to again click off of this for now. So one of the things is your data sources that you can get. So you could import directly from Excel, SQL Server, blank table, try a data set. You can click on create from another data source. All right. And then it brings up all the different data sets. So you could do a text file, XML, JSON, PDF, SQL Server database, Access, etc. So they have Oracle, IBM DB2. So they have a lot of decent information. They have Azure database, Snowflake. So these are multi-dimensional tables probably set up that are more or less something in a data warehouse.
Google. What is the Access?
I'm sorry?
Which one's the multi-dimensional?
That's this one right here. Thing called Snowflake. It's usually it's something that would be created in SAS, and it's a cube that has data, which is usually has a bunch of measurements of data. But you have to develop that outside of here. So, but it has the capability to connect into that cube to get the data. Google BigQuery. So there's some things I never heard of out here, but as you see, they have a decent amount of information out here that you can connect to. Hadoop. I think they even have R out here for you guys, you are developers in the class. So as you see, the opportunities are endless. It looks like they have more than Tableau does. So they do have a lot of stuff out here, which is interesting. So you can do all this different stuff. This right up here, this is more or less your towel, and this right here is very similar to, like I said, when you look at it, I think of Word, Excel, Access, whatever. It all, excuse me, looks very much the same, but you know, the format of it is similar, but the options are obviously different. You can do all the same things up here, so you have another way of connecting to different data sources. You have your insert, so you could add some stuff to it, like text boxes. So this is more or less like your objects that you could add to the screen to do stuff, buttons, whatever, so you could make it a little fancy. Your modeling is if you're creating new measurements, so new calculations, if you were adding parameters for some reason, you could have that up here, so you can make it a little bit more dynamic. Then your viewing, you can change your template, what you want. You know, if you want that or whatever, it'll change eventually. And then obviously your help button. This side over here is your visualizations. So we'll have something called fields. So when we connect to our data source, it'll be similar to what we had up here where we have the summarize. That'll be our fields that'll be located over here. This is our different visualizations that we could use. Once we select that, we'll have options. Allows us to do similar stuff that we do in Tableau. And then we'll also have filter options that we could do. We could do basic filtering. We could do advanced filtering. And then you could just kind of build out your screen by, you know, moving your data over here and so forth. And then we have these 3 different screens here. And once we have some data, we can look at them. This one's the entry screen that we're in here. This is more or less the Excel version of it. So it allows us to look at the data, it allows us to, excuse me, make changes to the data. And then we have the model table. And the model table is kind of like, is anyone in here familiar with SQL? Anyone ever have a database class before? Anyone ever used Microsoft Access before?
Oh, like once back in like the
Yeah.
computer class.
Oh, okay.
In undergrad.
So, did you do querying in Access?
I think just a tiny bit.
Okay.
It was just like we spent very little time on that, maybe like 2 weeks.
Okay.
On it.
So the reason I asked that is because if you work with queries, it shows you how tables are joined together. And that's kind of how this is set up. They have models, and the models are basically like when we pull up the Excel table is broken down by something called fact, which is specific measurements, and then they have these other measurements. So they're broken down by tables per se, and you're able to connect to different tables and share information and so forth. So it's kind of like a database in an essence, and allows you to get the data. Now, not all data points are set up like that. It just depends on if that's how you have your data set up. And I downloaded this from.
A little bit of SQL in Morgan's class.
Oh, did you? Okay.
That's what
Just a couple of days.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we got the basic understanding.
Cool. Awesome. You guys have any database classes? Are you all MBA students, right? All right. Because the MIS students get the database class. All right. So I'm going to click on import data from Excel. Or we're going to click on this guy up here, get data. I'm going to choose Excel, does the same thing. I'm going to choose that file that I downloaded, which was retail analysis. I think that's it. It's taken 3 days to download.
Yeah.
All right, so as you see here, it pulled up some information, or looks like it's still pulling information up. So we have these separate tables here. We'll see if I can even select them. So I'm going to choose the buyers, dates. We'll go through this data in a minute here. Managers, regions, sales. I'm not sure what August data is. Dim tables. In fact, I downloaded this from one of those websites as free data. So I'll click transform data. That's going to think about it.
Transform data?
Yep. So this right here allows us to kind of maneuver around with the data. So we have query settings. This to me looks like Excel. This is Power Query Editor, so you can make changes in here before you kind of push your code. Wrong class. Push your data out there. So you could go into buyers. You could probably even add some stuff if you wanted. So you could create drill downs. You could modify it. Same thing with the dates. If you need to change the dates around. The managers, regions, so based off of state, suburb, postal code, sales. I'm not even sure what this is here. This right here is more dimensional data, so this will be more measurements. And same thing with the fact table will be more measurements. So you see that we have total units, sell price, cost price, etc. You can create custom fields in here as well. So if you wanted to add a column, we could come in here and say, I'm going to choose custom column. Maybe this is really slow. And we'll say I'll call it sales. And what I'll do is I'll double click on sell price, and I'll just make something else. Like sales times total units. So what I did is I took sales times total units. I gave the column name sales, and I'll click OK. And what it does is it just creates a new column for me called sales over here. You could click on it and sort it if you want to. If you want to filter on and remove stuff, you could do that all from there. There used to be an option here. I don't see it anymore, but there used to be an option where you can actually change the data type. So if you wanted it to be a decimal type for short, you could do it, but I don't see it here anymore. It looks a little different. Let me see. No, I think they removed it or put it somewhere else, and that's usually what happens when they change stuff constantly, which is fine. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another custom column for the heck of it, and we'll call this one cost. Custom. This one right here, we can say cost price, and we'll times it by total units. And just hit OK. And I'll create one more custom column. This one I'll call gross profit. And what we'll do is we'll take the sales price right here, and we'll times the. Now you could type this in. You don't have to do what I'm doing, clicking it. You can just type it in, but to me it's a lot more work. And that'll be okay right there. So now we have gross profit. We have cost.
What were the columns we added in that one? I'm sorry.
We added sales, cost, and gross profit.
The gross profit is what I mean.
Yeah.
What were the columns that we put in for gross profit?
I'll put it in the chat. Sales is sales price times total units. Cost is cost price times total units. Yeah. And then the last one was gross profit. That one was sales price. So those are the columns that we had in there. Yep. All right, y'all with me? Yin's with me, sorry. He's wrong English here. All right, so what do you want to do next? Anyone have any questions?
No, sorry. Having issues. You said that gross profit was sales cost, but it's not letting me add some of those in here.
They won't let you add a column?
It's. I don't think it's letting me add some of the information that you were saying.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. I got kind of lost.
No problem.
Like,
Oh, okay, so sales. Oh, did you click on it instead of?
no, I typed because I couldn't find it on here.
Oh, really? So it didn't show
Yeah.
up in sales? Yeah. Oh, so probably if it's not in there, it won't work anyways.
Okay.
So actually hit cancel. Great. Movie. Reagan's sales are very low. Did you download all the data in there? So when we walk through
I wonder if it's because it's on specific. Yeah, I think it is.
so double click on it. And space. These times. And space. You can find another volume here, right? And whatever name I call it, if you have in the chat, I'll see. Sorry. Good. The sales was first one was sales, and it was sales price times. Well, the one that I just gave you right there, sales price times cost price.
Okay.
That's the gross profit one.
Okay.
And then the next one was cost times total units, which is cost. Cost price times total units.
Okay.
And the last one was sales price times total units sales.
Sales price times total units.
Yeah, and I call them sales.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Nobody apologize. We're all learning. I'm learning. All right. Good stuff. All right. So now that we have our data, I'm going to click close and apply. Let me see if we go back here, guys. And it'll start loading.
If you hit the close and apply in the top box or the bottom box of the drop?
I did the top box to the left. All right. So once that happens, you'll have build visuals with your data, which is just this information here. We have some fields over here. We have some visualizations. And then we have 3 columns over here. So first column is, this will be where we build our data at, which is our current environment. We click the second area, it'll bring up our data elements that we just looked at. So if we want to come in here and play around and look at the data that we have, we could come in here. So for example, I want to go into regions. I could go into state, it'll show me information. I could filter on it to see what's there. Excuse me. So some of this is foreign stuff as well, it looks like. You can also, just get out of there. You can also, where's it at? Oh, right here. So if you click on table tools, like, let's say that we wanted to do I'm not going to do it, but let's say we wanted to create a measurement of something. We could do some type of, so think of this as a calculation of something. So if you wanted to take some values over here and do some type of calculations, you could do it here. So you can say measure equals and maybe count rows. So let's say count rows, for example. You could do count rows, and then you could choose which data do I want to count on. Maybe I want to count on regions, for example. You could do something like that, and then you click that to save it. And what it does, it just saves it as a
Would you click to save it?
the check mark, and it just saves it as a shoot, I can't talk tonight. Saves it as a field somewhere, but get a word I want to use. Anyways, that's pretty much that. So you could play around with that. Let's see what else. Oops, I almost close out. The other thing is the model right here. So if you click on the model, this shows you, and this is what I asked if anyone used SQL before. Come on, this guy doesn't want to close. I wish I could make it smaller, but I can't. But anyways, it shows the tables, which are the Excel fields that we have, and it already has relationships built around it, how they connect. So for example, you see these ones here. What that means is something called a one-to-one connection. And what that means is, for example, if I click on, let's find one right here. So we have sales and region. So when I click on it, you see that these 2 tables are linked together only if it's using the postal code. So if the postal code resides in either of those tables, then the data can be found. Let's say that the postal code does not reside in those tables. From a SQL standpoint, we wouldn't be able to connect it unless we use something called a left join, which will allow us to get the data, but it wouldn't be matching data. So if you don't have a relationship, so like what's nice about this data right here, I'm looking at, it's just a one-to-one relationship. It's not doing one-to-many relationships or many-to-many relationships. So that doesn't exist in this element. So it makes it pretty cut and dry on what you have to accomplish. But the thing is, you could come in here and change your model around as well and see if you want to connect to other tables. But we're not going to teach you that tonight. I don't want
Can you zoom in anyway?
I can't, man. The only way I could do is do this.
I mean, not for, I can't, I'm just talking in general. Mine's,
From your screen.
mine's like a wide.
At the bottom right, there's a little plus and minus sort of thing.
Oh, right down here.
Zoom in
So
and out. Yeah.
this is like any other Excel thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that big enough?
That's what mine was looking like.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's there somewhere.
Yeah, so that's another example. Thanks for that. That's another example of Excel and Excel, which is like Excel with Word and stuff. Allows you to zoom in.
Pretty silly.
Cool. Any questions at home? All right. So next we're going to try to build, and I'm not looking to build anything specifically. I didn't really come up with a plan on this myself, but we'll play around with it. So what we'll do is we'll choose a chart. I'll choose the cluster chart, I think. And what you do is you just click on it. As soon as you click on it, that chart that you have will go out here automatically. And what I'll do is I'll kind of make it a little bit bigger so I can see it. So I chose the the chart. This to me reminds me a little bit of Tableau. So maybe I choose some data on something. So maybe I want to go to buyers, for example. I'll choose buyer and I'll just drag it down into the axis information. And I don't know if this is going to pull anything that we want. Then maybe I want to do some sales. And maybe I want to pull in the sales price and load it here in a legend. Some data there. And maybe I want to add dates for something. So let's see. I'll do date and I'll throw it down into values. So make this a little bit bigger here. When I look at this, it's very difficult to read. So maybe I'm gonna change this around a little bit here. Like I said, I'm just playing with it. So I'm gonna take sales price, move sales cost. I'll do cost or sell price, and I'm gonna put it down here. Maybe there we go. So it's just a little playing around with stuff. And then we'll do the region, maybe by state if I want here. So as you see here, I broke it down by region. It's still kind of small to see. And let's see here, sell price. I don't know if they'll let me do this. So when you do the values, you could click on this down arrow right here. And you could choose if you want to do a sum of something, if you want to do a count of something. So if I say, hey, I want to do the average, I could do the average. So this is more or less your function. So in SQL, these are called functions. It allows us to do something. So if we want to do a count, we could do count. You could do anything that you want to do. So I'm just going to keep it as sum. I think that's fair enough. Very hard to see here.
How did you change those colors?
I didn't. Those changed on their own, but you can change them, and I'll show you how in a minute here. So those were all done automatically. So I chose buyer up in the axis. I put state in the legend. I chose sales price in the values right here. If you do click the format button, I like to say the paintbrush option. You could choose the format button, make sure that you have the chart that you're working on, select it. You could come down to data colors and you could change it right here. Like for example, the NSWs, I'll change those to purple, and the NTs, I'll make them yellow. You know what? I'm gonna go and change this NSW to black. You know where I'm going with this, black and gold. So we got black and gold here, so it recognizes that Amy, Buchanan, and Bruce, whoever, can't even read their names. One of the things that you can do is if you wanted to put what this is, because I'm looking at it, I don't know what it is, you can click on the text box up here. Click on text box. Jeff. And what I'm going to do here is I could type in something. I'll just say I'll say top buyers by region. So I'll do that, and then I'll change the font and make it a lot bigger. Maybe. Come on. I talk to myself in third person sometimes. So bear with me. All right, so and then what I'll do here is I'll just drag it maybe. If you click on the little button at the top there, top bars, yep. I'll make it a different color. There we go, top bars by region. Now it's not real fancy or nothing like that. We could also filter on the data too. So if you click on filters like we did on the other one, we could click on filter. You have two options. You have basic filtering, Actually, this one has more. You could do advanced filtering as well. Advanced filtering is if you're doing stuff that contains something, you're doing is equal or whatever, at least on buyer. But if I went into, say, sales price, I could do is less than a value, greater than a value, whatever the case is. I could do something like that. So you could do a bunch of different things. So if I wanted to do basic filtering, maybe I want to choose just Amy, Bruce, Chester, and Chris for some reason. I could do that, and then the chart just filters on those 4 people versus everybody in the chart. So you could hover over and see what sales price that each person had. You come down to Chris here, and you had a bad year. So that's one thing that you could do. Any questions yet? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down to the tab and just change it to something else. I'll just call it, I'll do rename, and I'll say, I don't know, top sales, whatever. I'll just make something up. Then I'm gonna choose another visualization to throw in there. I don't know what I'm gonna choose here. Let me see here. KPI. So I click on KPI. And let's see if we could do cost price, which we got here. And double check. And maybe want to do like date.
You said KPI.
Yeah. And we do what category? Just playing around with this real quick. Actually, where is it? Let's change this to count. I'm going to play around with this a little bit. Let me grab something from a fact table. Because the fact should have my cells. So maybe if I do gross profit. That was so divided. And I could do gross profit, date, maybe. Well, choose the chain. All right. So in this one right here, I did it by chain. I did it by trying to access. I did date. I'll probably choose something else. I'm looking, and I have count of gross profit. That was the one that we created, the gross profit one. Sorry. See this one right here, you can't change like the other ones because this is target goals. So this right here behind the scenes has like ups and downs of that region, that data. But I'm thinking I want to put something else here instead of date. Just playing around with this. Maybe I could category. I see, I don't like that because it doesn't provide specifics. No. Weird. I don't like that. I guess I could put a date. So this is your chain profit. To me, I don't even know what it really means. You could filter on it as well, but I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm actually gonna make it a little smaller to me, and you can move this around a little bit. So I'm gonna maybe move this guy up a little bit further.
Is there any undo button
Yeah, it's up here at the top.
if that doesn't highlight?
It doesn't highlight, but I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
I was playing around with the fields and I accidentally dragged and dropped it.
You could just take it out then. Click remove the field.
Can I see what fields make up that chart? The chart, the one that you have your cursor
This
on?
one.
Yes, I wanted to see the fields that it has.
Sure, it's right there.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I know why I just want to have the graph on the bottom of the course or something.
This graph right here. Did you choose count of chain as your indicator from the fact table?
Yes.
And did you choose date from the fact table?
Actually, no.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, so I chose all the columns from the fact table.
What kind of chart is this on the visualization?
Say that again?
What type of chart is this?
It's called a KPI.
Where do I select that from? I try to look at it.
It was this one right here.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mine still doesn't do it.
It doesn't. You have count and chain, date, and count and gross profit. Only thing I can think about is when you set up your custom column, something wasn't set up appropriately. So if you didn't set up your custom column correctly, then it's going to be off.
My number's off, but that's it.
We come back to that. That's no problem.
I think I'll just look at the video afterwards.
Yeah, and this is just to play around with it. As you see, I put not enough time in to figure out what the heck I was doing myself. So I was playing around with it. So I'll choose another chart, one more chart here. Oh, shoot. So let me undo that. I just did my chart up. All right,
Wait,
so
that's the number I got.
4496?
Yeah.
And then it worked.
If you put count distinct, I guess it makes it look fancier because it gives you a goal and a plus 18.8%.
Right. Yeah, so it gets the dupes out. All right, so all I'm gonna do is make sure you click off of the chart or you'll pull up another one. So let's choose this one here. Stack. I'll do a stack one. Put underneath.
Stack bar, that first one.
Yeah, it's stack area chart. So it's depending on what you're looking at. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 over in the beginning. Oh my God. And so this one right here, I'm going to choose from the sales data. I'm going to choose the date as my axis. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll figure it out. And then I'll choose the chain. I'm not getting anything. And cells. So let me see here. Make this a little bigger. So I do have, it chooses everything here. So you can come in here and change this out, I think.
Yeah.
So you could do by year, quarterly. I'm gonna make it bigger. Do it by quarterly, or maybe by month. Maybe we have more data. So you can see where things do like from January, February, and kind of ascends and descends. So you can see what you could change the color code because I don't like that. So I'm gonna go down to data colors once again. I'm choosing. That's too late. More colors. That's a lot. So there we go. And then I'll make this guy. You know what? Oh, that's not what I was going for, but.
Right. You thought it would be a little more.
All right, we'll stick with it. It's fine. So as you see when you highlight over it, oh my God, highlight over it, it shows the different options. You could also filter on this information as well if you want to filter on chain. Any questions at home? All right. So we'll pretend that this is our final report and we're ready to go to town on it. So I'm going to click publish. I'll click save. And I'll save it. I'll say it. That's report. It's going to ask you for your email address. Continue. There we go. Wait 3 days to connect. We'll say next week, come to class with the best smiles that you have, and we'll do our class selfie. If you don't want to partake, just don't turn your camera on.
Oh yeah, was it next week? I have the second dose I'm getting, so
Okay.
it might be late again.
All right. Hopefully, you don't break down this time.
It's gonna be more interesting.
Oh yeah, trust me. but everyone has a different effect, so might be good.
So is there a destination, just my workspace, or?
Yeah, so you can put it anywhere. You can choose, like remember, you could do my workspace. I chose module. I created module 12 beforehand, so I'm gonna put it in there. But my workspace is fine.
I only option is my workspace.
Right. You could go up there and modify it later, but for now that'll be fine. So it says success, and then I could come out to here, refresh. Click workspace, choose module 12, and click in-class report. So I can do the report one. And there you go, it's online.
Sweet.
It actually looks better up here than it did there, but
You want, you just go to my workspace?
just go to your workspace and choose your, it'll say you want one that says report. And that's it.
Where's that out again? I can't find, that's not in my workspace.
What's not in your workspace?
That.
Did you publish it there? Did you refresh it?
How do you refresh it?
Click the refresh button on the browser.
The report?
Yep. Anyone at home have any problems? All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording on this part. I'll publish this video in our thing here. This is done.